Welcome to the RTRO REGEN podcast. I'm your host Leo. With me here I've got Neon.
Yay.
And ALLMIGht.
What's up, everybody?
What a disappointment.
Classic Neon.
Dude, we just started it happening.
Yeah, the guys don't know that I'm classic yet, but I will be in a few years.
You are yet
Remember
to listen to this outstanding and whatever device you're listening on.
Sure.
But yeah, let's start, shall we?
Okay.
Alright, today's first topic is going to be the gaming industry crash. How we can participate in it because we want it to crash.
Yeah, honestly, all of us do. Even though there are some negative repercussions of it that we will get into.
But the positives are actually more.
Yeah.
But I think the pros outweigh the cons because we already seen in the late, well, we didn't see it, but we heard that in the late 90s that it had a huge impact. And yeah, I guess Leo could elaborate on that.
I think it was in the 80s.
Yeah, it was 1982 specifically.
1980?
82 or 84? I don't know.
1980s.
So yeah, that happened. That's already happened, and it will happen. And this leads me to another thought that I've had for a few days now, that the 2020s will be like the 1980s version 2. I don't know why I feel like that, but I just think that the retro aesthetic is making a comeback in all fields and in all industries. So it's just a feeling. I honestly don't want the retro stuff to come mainstream, but I don't know.
That would devalue it.
But
yeah.
But what I think is that nowadays AAA games aren't what they used to be.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
their games they release every year, and these are companies like EA and Ubisoft and other many great companies, but Activision, thank you. That's just going to a spiral downfall. I'll show you the stats about it. It's just humiliating.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So over here we got the stats. If you look at the October 28th of the Ubisoft stock, not October 28th, sorry. Over here we got October 25th.
Yeah, October, late October.
October 25th precisely is when Ubisoft stock was at its lowest, and it's not looking good.
And it has been falling for a while now, for most of 2019, it has been on a downfall.
Yeah, and the major thing is that Ghost Recon Breaking Point.
Yeah.
it's mainly the final blow on the nail, because
final nail in the coffin. Oh.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it could work that way as well, but.
God damn it. And I'm the Nazi over here.
Yeah,
the
sure.
grammar Nazi.
Yeah,
not the other Nazi.
But what were the actual reasons for this crash?
No, I'll tell you what.
The real reason.
Ghost Recon Breaking Point was like a breaking point for Ubisoft. It's quite simple. They even named the game that way. And they already knew what was going to happen. Ubisoft's games have been bland for so long now. Every game is an RPG. Every game has RPG mechanics. Every game is every shooter is like The Division, and every other game is an RPG, which is weird.
Every game has the same gimmick of its contemporary games.
Yeah.
There's nothing different about it. It's just a reskin of the same game.
Exactly.
Except for Far Cry, but
yeah.
That's just one thing.
And even the new Far Cry has damage numbers, and you can't kill people if you have an older gun. Everyone becomes a bullet sponge if you have a lower weapon gun, lower level weapon.
And even Assassin's Creed, it now has damage numbers.
Yeah, I know. Since Origins, it has that damage numbers, and it's just disappointing, honestly.
And they have really good franchises, but they've been ruining it for years now.
Yeah. Like every franchise has gone to the gutter.
It's like
I'm kind of glad. Like you may hate me for that, but I'm kind of glad that Splinter Cell ended where it did, and we won't get another Splinter Cell because it would have probably been an RPG open world game.
yeah. But it could have also stopped the RPG thing altogether.
It could have.
It could have went either way.
But both of us know that is probably not what would have happened.
I don't know.
There's also one company I hate to
One
mention.
thing you gotta see first
What?
before we get on. Splinter Cell stopped because of the fans.
Yeah.
The fans disliked the game.
Yeah, but the
Right?
final chapters were quite disappointing.
Yes. And that's why no one liked it.
Yeah.
So if someone just changes entirely what Splinter Cell is, no one's gonna buy it. And again, it's gonna stop. If that happened. If that were the alternate timeline, Splinter Cell would have still ended because the fans were hardcore.
Yeah, but the many games, like right now, the only good game from Ubisoft is Rainbow Six Siege, and even that isn't as good as it could have been.
Used to be.
No, it could have been because back then it had a lot of bugs and glitches. Now it doesn't.
Yeah,
but it has balancing issues, and the game is now revolving around competitive play. And you can have fun in the game if you're a casual player or even if a semi-pro player. Unless you like dedicate all your life to it, it's not a great game. Like their balancing changes they're just bad. Like I don't want to use the word for it, but they nerfed Glass and I hated them after that. And
Yeah, that was his breakpoint.
yeah, that was my breakpoint.
There's one company that I like to mention. It's 2K. I mean, this company, they were pretty good in the sports retrospect, but their games like I heard just a few weeks ago or a month that NBA 2K20 released, and at launch day, glitches, bugs, etc. And then now I'm like, I don't play NBA 2K20. But then there was one game, 2K, WWE 2K. I used to play that a lot. Now, when that game released, 2K20, a lot of people went straight out said, 2K fix this. And apparently, what I have a problem with 2K is they don't listen to the fans. And you know those behind the scenes videos where they say, we listen to the fans? No, you don't, dude. You don't. Let's be honest, you don't.
Most publishers don't.
No.
They only listen to their investors.
Exactly.
Like most major publishers are like that, but there are some good publishers. I'd assume
And
there are some.
if you
good
want to make
Square Enix is fine.
Square Enix is fine, and
but
I'd
CDPR is
say
fine.
Techland
Techland is great. Techland is great. I'd say Techland is great.
Yeah, Techland is definitely great. Like they're still supporting Dying Light. Like just now, it has its Halloween event. I played it a few days ago. It's awesome, by the way.
Very
And so they have an Halloween event, and they still update a game that's 5 years old now, almost 5 years old now. And the game is also the sequel is also coming out. They could have just abandoned the game years ago, but they're still supporting it, and that's amazing. Like I can't put it into words, honestly.
Respawn is good as well.
Respawn is amazing, but they're
under EA.
They are under EA, but I do believe that they have a good amount of autonomy now. Especially after Apex Legends, which again is an amazing game. Like that is the only battle royale game that I actually like.
And also, if we're talking about major ones, this is more of a AA thing, not AAA. Digital Extremes is really good. But we're not here to talk about that.
Right.
What can be the causes for this? What I see is the big reason for this upcoming crash is that gamers are becoming more and more aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And non-gamers are also becoming more and more aware. So gamers are becoming more aware because of the things like No Man's Sky and also Battlefront 2. With stuff like that, with microtransactions, loot boxes, misleading marketing, everything just made gamers more mature. Plus, those who were kids back then have grown up and now are more responsible with money,
Yeah.
relatively.
Yeah.
So that is a hit, for one. And now that the EU is recognizing microtransactions and loot boxes as predatory practices and things that exploit the glands that make you addicted to something, it's becoming more and more of an ethical crime.
No, you can just directly call it gambling. Like loot
Yeah.
boxes are gambling if you're buying the loot boxes. Now, if you're getting it as a reward, that's cool and all. But if you're buying them, it's pretty much gambling at this point. But I'd also like to add that I still think that if a game is free to play, it can do whatever it wants. Like at the end of the day, it's a problem of self-control.
Yes, but there's also the thing that the ethical problem, right?
There is an ethical problem, but
Because most of these are, it's not just on the developer's end, the problem. It's also the major problem that you face when you do loot boxes is that most of your audience is going to be kids. It's going to be impressionable people.
And one more thing
Right.
I'd like to
And those
I
are the
was
people
getting
who
to that.
ruin their lives because of loot boxes.
no.
They have their parents' credit cards. The
Yeah.
parents don't. They've just given them the card and they just don't
That's
think
the
about it
problem.
anymore.
Like, listen, like this is the problem. The kids, right? They don't know about this credit card or debit card system because they imply that they add in the credentials and then they buy whatever they want. And who has to pay the bill? The parent, right?
No, again, so my,
It's still a
my
problem.
point is, it is a problem, but I'd call it more of a parent problem
True.
than a game problem.
All right.
Because if a parent doesn't check what their kids are doing with their credit cards, that's just bad parenting. Like if
Right, but you can't just take that and take the blame off of you. Because
No.
take this scenario, right?
no, wait. Let me set things straight.
Fine.
I do agree with you, but I'm just giving some of the points of the other side.
Right, but if you take this scenario, you have a shop in a town,
Yeah.
and in this shop you're more of a services person, not a merchant, right? So your services are pest control,
Okay.
right? And because that's the service you provide, you also sell rat poison. So people come and buy rat poison, and suddenly people are committing suicide using the rat poison you sold them. Now, would you keep on selling the rat poison, or would you go like, maybe I shouldn't allow people to kill themselves?
You shouldn't allow them.
But again,
It's money.
No.
Money is coming in. It's not illegal.
but again, you're like, the purpose you're selling the rat poison isn't for suicide. Like if you look at it that way, people can buy guns.
Yeah.
Now people
I mean,
people can choose to do whatever with that rat poison. You can even buy kitchen knives, and you
I know.
can
A
commit
tool-
suicide with them.
A tool's job is not defined.
Yeah,
It does something only because you choose for it to do that thing.
exactly.
But when more than 90% of your market is doing a harmful thing, it's your moral obligation to stop.
No, so again, my point is that if it's a free to play game, it can have all the microtransactions it wants.
Yeah.
Okay, it can have all the cosmetic microtransactions it wants, but not loot boxes. Like loot boxes should be kind of like a reward, or even if you're giving loot boxes, they should be parts of services like the battle pass. That way you're not directly paying for the loot boxes, and you're also getting that reward like that dopamine hit when you open a loot box and you get something good.
Right, and it's also a legal problem as well.
It
That
is illegal.
for the EU, it's a big legal problem, and you need to stop it. And that's giving them a major hit too.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And their stocks are dropping. EA stock has been dropping this year. Game publishers, their stocks have been dropping majorly. Especially the best example is Ubisoft right here. Is when we were researching this, it was dead. It was gone. It was non-existent. It was to the ground. But now it's a bit better. Barely. And so, what can we do? Because games, if you haven't noticed, have been majorly bad recently. Not many games do anything different. It's the tried and tested formula. And it's just that same game. Every publisher is making the same FPS.
No. If you want something new, if you want innovation, you go to indie.
Look,
that's the place where you find innovation.
Even
that's
if you don't want to bring in innovation, at least make a solid game. At least give me a good experience. It's like there's this thing that gamers always want innovation. It's not always a good thing, but at least the thing that you already have, the gimmicks or the features. Let's not call them gimmicks. The features that you have, use them in a good way.
Yeah, sure.
Most of the games like Breakpoint, like Battlefield 5, were just mediocre. They're just passable. They're barely games.
But
They're not exactly interesting things. They're just things that... It's like watching Game of Thrones. You're just wasting your time.
But here's one thing. Here's one more thing.
You're gonna trigger a lot of people with that.
Here's one thing.
But
I do agree. I do agree.
Hey, don't. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
But here's the thing. Now, just let's say few years ago, let's say 2016, there was this thing called Battle Royale. Now, 1 year or 2 years passed. There are games.
3 years passed.
Yeah, chalo. Okay, 3 years passed. Now there are games
But
like Call of Duty is copying this Battle Royale mode, even though it started probably with PUBG, and then it kind of escalated with this whole bombardment with the Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all about, I think, following the trend.
Then, if you want to make money, you have to follow the trend.
There's nothing bad about following the trend.
Like Apex Legends does it best. Again, I have to come back to that. Like
You see?
it's mostly skill based. The inventory system is fast, and you can be in a gunfight, out of a gunfight, and into a gunfight within a few minutes.
You see, trends are not bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just if you get on them just for the sake of getting on them, they get devalued.
Yeah, you should innovate into trends. Like if you're bringing something into a trend, you should also bring something new with that package.
You see, if I play H1Z1 and I play PUBG, I shouldn't be getting the exact same experience.
Yeah, exactly.
There needs to be some flavor for a developer to have. If I play let's say Mad Max and I play Rage 2, there has to be a difference.
Yeah.
Right? And also another thing, most developers and publishers have been recently including major bright and neon aesthetic to them, which makes almost all games look the same.
I don't know.
Like if you look at Rage 2 and you look at Fallout 76, they have a very, very similar paint job.
But Fallout 76 and Rage has, like, both of these games have been a kind of a retro futuristic type of thing. So I think they're playing it to that aesthetic, but
yeah, that's a fair argument.
But what I would like to add is, like, if you look at Black Ops games, Call of Duty Black Ops games, they have a weird color palette. Like, it's so bright and it just doesn't look like people are shooting guns over there. It feels too childish. Like it looks like Teletubbies.
Teletubbies.
Wow.
Kalashnikov edition.
Right.
Right. And yeah, the stocks have been getting a big hit.
Yeah, they'll die. And by the way, I'm gonna name a few companies: Activision Blizzard,
Yes, please.
Rockstar, Take-Two,
2K.
and 2K. They're all the same. And these two are the ones, and EA, and these are the ones that I really want that they should die. They should
Cease to exist.
Yes.
They should cease to exist, exactly.
But you need to give credit where credit is due.
Yes.
EA, comparatively, even though it's the worst company in America, the worst company in the world, you can't love EA no matter what.
Yeah.
But they've got an originals program that's helping indies, and they also got Respawn.
Yeah.
They have a lot of bad things going on,
And
but at least they have some good things as
another
compared to other
good
publishers.
thing would be that they're now partnered with Steam, and now their games are coming to Steam now, and that's amazing. That's like a punch in the face for Epic Games. That's bringing exclusivity to PC, even though we all know that PC is the platform of freedom.
Yeah.
That's the point of getting a PC in the first place, because you want freedom, you don't want exclusives. And I also like the Death Stranding. I've seen people comment on videos and reviews, like people are just angry that game is coming to PC.
I think
Even though I see it as a step in the right direction, because exclusivity has been the worst thing that has ever happened to gaming. Unless your hardware can't support something, it should be able to play it on that hardware.
I think a lot of people are forgetting that Metal Gear Solid 5 also supported every platform. So it's nothing new if Kojima Productions decide that, why don't we make Death Stranding into PC as well? That's a good thing. Now, I am a console gamer, and I don't think, I think it's all fair that PC should be allowed to play these amazing games.
No, I say even Xbox should be allowed to play these games. Even Nintendo, even though I know that Nintendo can run games like this, but
Nintendo has its own thing. So.
And Nintendo does it amazingly well, honestly.
Yeah.
You see, let's finish this segment on this tangent.
Yes.
If this is the reason why Kojima was ousted to begin with, he had to make a good game. He had to make an innovative game. And he had to make a game that would sell also.
A walking simulator. But a really complicated walking
IGN
simulator.
gave it a 6. Are they out of their mind?
No, but IGN also gave Alien Isolation a 6. And they gave it a 5.9, but
look, you can't trust critics for something that should be your opinion.
I think they're not even real gamers.
No,
honestly.
wait. IGN reviews games from the perspective of a basic gamer,
Probably.
someone who just plays games. He comes.
Casually.
They come.
Casually.
Casually. Exactly.
You see,
So from that perspective, I do get a 6 rating, because most reviews that have rated it higher have said that it isn't for everyone.
Look, what I'd say is that a good rule of thumb is when you look at reviews, don't take them seriously, because they are not your opinion.
Thank you.
Because they are not how you would view a product. Because honestly, some people might have liked a weird film. What's a weird film that you haven't watched? I'd say Mom was a weird film that I haven't watched. I heard a lot about it.
I also haven't watched it.
Right?
Yeah,
So Mom should have gotten some bad reviews. I'm not sure. But let's say that someone is a weird person and they would like something like Mom.
Is it a weird film?
Yeah, it's a very weird film.
Okay.
right? So what if that person just looks at the reviews and just goes like, okay, maybe this isn't the film for me, even though that was the demographic.
Yeah, exactly. So the best way to combat all this is to like have a few reviewers that you agree with on games that both of you have played. Watch those reviewers' reviews.
Yeah, and mainly you can find these on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
The main good reviewers, the good game reviewers, or the most honest reviewers you would find on YouTube. Because most of these review sites, they're usually paid off. Usually, they're either paid off by that specific publisher or an opposing publisher. Or if they're not paid off, they would be very angry and they would just naturally give it an okay rating.
The most big most big reviewers like IGN and Kotaku and stuff like that. And Kotaku is dying, so I stopped there. Activision Blizzard is hopefully dying.
Hopefully everyone is dying. And
yes.
And okay,
Depression 100.
Okay, let's finish this tangent. Kojima needed to make a game that would sell because he was taking a lot of time and a lot of resources and was bringing no sales because in development, obviously. So what was a great idea was for this to not be restricted to a market that would not gain any profit or gain enough profit as compared to the cost. And so they opened it up to PC. And so if you really like Kojima, if you want his studio to succeed, you might want his game to go on other platforms.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is the right way to go.
And also...
It is the right way to go. It's the future, and it should have been a reality by now, but unfortunately it isn't, which is weird.
The future is unity, right? And gamers have to unite and ultimately bring this game crash to the doorstep of these publishers, because we really need this. Because we've been dealt a bad hand for years and we've just silently just accepted that. And we're at a point where we can't accept that anymore, especially with the Breakpoint, especially with the crappy kind of games that are coming out. Half-baked games like Fallout 76 and all of these stupid games that make no sense are not needed to be made to begin with. No one wants to play these games, like Anthem, and they're still put out and they're still bought and they're still bringing some chunk of money. And what we need to do is to stop buying these AAA games. What we need to do is support indies and AA games. What we need to do is what we expect, the innovation and the polished game experience we expect from AAA publishers, they're not giving us anymore. Indies are much better at it. So we might as well just stop, especially our fellow PC gamers. They're much better. They should be going to that direction, is what I think.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
So in the next segment, we'll talk about the negatives.
Okay. Yeah! Look at the way forward.
We apologize. Actually, we don't.
We're really tired, so our brains aren't working right now.
Even though we just had a nice break.
Very lovely discussion.
Yeah, but it's quite hot in the room, so
yeah. Anyways.
Okay, so next topic is the negatives of the game industry crash. Neo, you're in the industry, so what are your thoughts?
I'm sure anyone can guess what the number one thought is. It's unemployment, mass unemployment, because even in late 2018 and in early 2019, Activision Blizzard laid off.
I'm sorry. I know it's serious, but come on. The context is... this isn't fair, okay? You just sent this me, okay? So they had the best profits they had last year, and they're like, let's lay off 300 people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, they're not 300, 800 people.
Sorry, 800. Right?
Wow.
I misread.
That's
Like,
that's
They fired
horrible.
800 people. 800 people. That means 800 families. Like, even if many of them didn't have families, at the very least, like 400 families lost their income.
So,
you're fired. Basically, that's what's up.
Okay, bye-bye.
thank you. Who was
All
that?
Might, All Might.
No, that guy on the Jetsons.
Ooh, Jetsons.
You never watched the Jetsons?
I have
Dude, I
watched the
used to-
Jetsons,
I
but-
watched
but-
Jetson.
But of course I don't remember the names. Come on.
Who cares?
I remember Jetson.
I was
Yeah,
more,
I literally only remember that specific
I was
name.
more into Flintstones.
Oh, did you know what the name of the secondary side character of Flintstones was?
I never watched Flintstones.
Yeah.
Then you can speak shit over here, okay?
We are going off topic. What are you doing?
Oh yes.
Going off topic, you just said it, man.
Anyways, yes, I guess that's the only reason he has unemployment.
Yeah, unemployment.
I'm currently unemployed. Like if EA, no, not EA or Activision or Blizzard, you guys stay away. If Respawn Entertainment wants me, I'm.
So that's
I'm
EA.
Okay, never mind.
Forget it.
God damn it, man.
This is supposed to be serious. But
Sure.
Yes.
Right, so
We
yeah.
are a very serious podcast. Take us seriously.
Yes.
Yes, please.
We own your souls.
Exactly.
God damn.
So that was 800 layoffs on the best year Activision had. So imagine, just imagine what the worst year looked like.
Exactly. Like we also have an example of that. Telltale Games last year they got bankrupt, and after that they laid off everyone
At once.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've even watched some interviews and stuff of the people who got laid off, and like they were playing the bankruptcy off. Like the executives were playing the bankruptcy off, and like one day they called everyone into a room and said that they pretty much said you're fired. And they had no severance packages as far as I can tell. Some of them did, but not all of them.
Not many.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. I must add that most companies, most studios, did offer the people who were affected to like come and work with them, and that was a nice gesture from the industry. Like that was the one time where I was kind of proud of the industry I'm a part of. But yeah, so that's an example of the negatives of the crash.
Here's a free thought. What if the game industry crashing is like the Wall Street crash?
It will be similar because it is $1 trillion industry.
So if that industry falls down, there's like investors are gonna lose their money.
Yeah, the Great Depression and all that.
And the people who have invested in stocks, they're gonna lose all their money, because most new and untrained investors, what they do is they buy stocks with everything they have, and then when the stocks just crash, especially if the industry crashes, they're gonna lose everything, and so that's how depressions happen.
Yeah, and then they'll commit suicide and stuff, and
It's-
one wants to see that.
No one wants
We-
that.
we
at all.
Let's be honest.
No.
We just went through this with the Bitcoin things. People invested in Bitcoins with everything they had. They sold everything they had. They got mortgages and they got into deep debt, and they invested in cryptos, and then like graphic companies just stopped putting out graphic cards in bulk, and then they lost everything they had.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that also affected the PC gaming community because the graphics card prices skyrocketed, and we had a really hard time. That's why I got a laptop rather than building a PC which would have been a lot better.
And
But
I
the
was
prices were-
upgrading, and it was a hassle to get a graphic card.
Yeah, but you got it at a good time. Like, you got it at the exact right time. Because after that, everything went to the toilet.
Downhill spiral.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I guess that's it.
No,
That's
we
all the thoughts.
still got some time. Another problem is that good developers might suffer.
Yeah, that is a fact, but we have to live with that, honestly.
And really, gamers will just like have this mentality that everything from now on will either be really good or really bad.
Yeah.
So that would be a huge problem, and I'd appreciate if fellow influencers, would actually help the community exercise being moderate. So that we're not expecting too much and not too less either.
And don't give your money to Activision Blizzard. I mean, come on.
Like, be smart.
Yeah.
Come on.
Don't be stupid.
And salam alaikum.